When I graduated from college, I was ready to take on the world. And one of my goals was to become a millionaire by 30, and I honestly thought I would get there even sooner than that. But then I got my first salary job paying $55,000 per year, and it became pretty clear pretty quickly that it was going to take more than this for me to reach my goal. And here I am at 30 years old, and you guessed it, not a millionaire. Yet. But at this rate, I should be there by 32, and along the way, I learned some really powerful lessons from my own journey and from some of the smartest minds in business and finance about what works and what doesn't. And the way that I think about money is it generally falls into two buckets: active income and passive income. Active income is when you trade your time for money, like with an hourly or a salaried job. In these cases, the amount you earn has a linear relationship with time, and this means that there's a limit to how much you can make. This also means that if you stop working or if you lose that job, you also lose that income. So over the last few years, I've put a lot more time and effort into building a portfolio of passive income, which I go into more detail in this recent video. In fact, real estate is responsible for 10% of the world's millionaires and 7% of the world's billionaires, and that's why it's an integral part of my passive income portfolio. These income streams typically require more effort and resources up front, but once you get one going, you can then move on to building the next one, and they start to stack up over time. But in order to make this happen, I also had to come to terms with the fact that extraordinary results requires extraordinary effort. It's easy to find yourself stuck in a loop of consuming content, getting motivated about the idea of success, and finding that you haven't made any real progress since before you consume that content. After spinning my wheels, I realized that $1 million net worth at a young age wasn't something that was just going to come after listening to a bunch of podcasts or watching a couple of YouTube videos like this one, and if it was really something that I wanted, I was going to have to put in the work. As it turns out though, Warren Buffett would disagree with everything that I just told you. As one of the greatest investors of all time said, you don't need to have extraordinary effort to achieve extraordinary results, you just need to do the ordinary, everyday things exceptionally well. And the lesson that I take away here is that at the end of the day, consistency is what really matters. For example, in the book Atomic Habits, James Clear points out that if you just get 1% better every day, then by the end of a year, you are 37 times better than when you started. Getting 1% better at something isn't by itself extraordinary, but if you can keep it up for one full year, the results can be extraordinary. In investing, this is known as the power of compounding, and here's why. Would you rather have $1 million today or a penny that doubles every day for the next 30 days? At first, the $1 million does sound tempting, and even after 25 days of doubling, the penny's only going to be worth $168,000. But what isn't obvious is that on day 28, the penny will be worth $1.3 million, and by day 30, the penny will be worth $5.4 million, over 5 times what you would have gotten otherwise. To put that into perspective, over 99% of the 5.4 million was generated in the last 7 days of that 30-day period, which brings me to my next lesson around delayed gratification. You see, in that example just now, it would be really tempting to take that $1 million up front and call yourself a millionaire today. But if you delay that gratification for just 30 days, you would end up with 5 times that. In fact, delaying gratification is so powerful that it's been shown to be a reliable predictor of success early on in life in a study known as the marshmallow experiment. In this study, a child would be seated in a room and the researcher would place a marshmallow on the table in front of them. The kid was then given an offer. The researcher would leave the room for 15 minutes, and if the marshmallow was still there, the child would get a second marshmallow. Then the researchers did follow-up studies with those same kids as they grew up, and they found that those that waited for the second marshmallow had better SAT scores, lower drug abuse, better responses to stress, and better social skills. So when it comes to building up your net worth at a young age, that means really thinking twice about what you're spending your money on and why. As your income grows, it becomes easier and easier for your lifestyle to grow with it. What can end up happening is you feel like you're putting in more and more effort and making more money, but it's just not translating into more net worth. And this was definitely the case for me early on in my career. As my income increased, I started to notice that I would just spend that extra money on things like clothes and tech and video games. I realized fairly early on that if I kept letting my lifestyle creep up on me like this, then after 10 or 20 or 30 years, I wouldn't have anything to show for the work that I put in. So I decided to shift my focus from spending money on liabilities to investing that extra money in assets that will help me build a lifestyle where I can have the financial freedom to enjoy those nicer things in life once I reached my goal. And if you're having a hard time deciding whether something is an asset or a liability, I think about it this way. An asset is something that generates income. Everything else is a liability. So that's my general strategy I'm using to get to $1 million net worth by 32, along with some key lessons I've learned along the way. If you like this video, then please let me know in the comments down below, or subscribe to my channel where I post content like this every week to help you overcome financial burnout and invest with confidence.